And we're on. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you're now watching or listening, you're now tuned into I Don't Know That's Perfect, the most professional podcast out of Austin, Texas. I'm your host. I am Mario from the South Side, and today I have a very special episode for you guys. I am sitting with a very young, talented artist that's coming out of Austin, and her name is Grace Sorensen. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited to have you here.
Good. I'm very grateful to be here.
And I have honestly been looking forward to this because I've been honestly following up and keeping up with just everything you've been doing, and just the
Thank
music
you.
in general has been like spoken for itself. And if like anybody has caught you or heard your music live, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
But before we get to that, go ahead and introduce yourself to those that are watching and listening. Just let them know who you are and what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. I'm Grace Sorensen. I'm from originally Round Rock, and then now I'm all over Austin. I perform shows around here. Hopefully soon more locations, but the next month I'll be playing a lot in San Antonio. Yeah, and I'm a musician, a dancer, an artist.
Sort of a jack of all trades, huh?
I guess so. Master of none.
Yeah. So I know you were very young. You're 19 years old, but like it seems like you have already on the path to accomplishing a lot. Where did it kind of all begin for you?
That's a good question. I feel growing up as a dancer taught me a lot about the creative industry and how people work in the creative world, but I didn't know that music was where I was going to end up until about like sophomore of high school year. I knew that music was kind of the way that I like lived my life, like it kind of directed everything I did. But as I got closer to high school, I was kind of like, yeah, dancing is definitely not like where I feel I belong fully or where I'm meant to be. And then it kind of all started with me wanting to not go to public high school, so I was Googling other alternatives because I just hated public school. So yeah, that's basically where it started.
Okay, so you were originally just dancing. Is that something that you've done since childhood, or?
Yeah. Ever since I was like, I think 3. My mom has a dance studio that she owned and created, and she had me in it originally, and she never let me quit, even though there was times where obviously I wanted to. But that ended up like teaching me a lot about commitment and how to work with a team, and a lot of very valuable lessons. So I'm very grateful for it.
And it's still stuff you use nowadays too.
Oh, totally. And I still dance, just not as pre-professionally or like intensively as I used to.
Because I know that like whenever I came across you, it was actually through Sheila. Shout out Sheila, a friend of the show, a good friend of mine. And that's, you know, like anytime that like any friends of mine post other people or share, like just work with other people, I trust their taste and who they work with. So that I came across you, and then I had saw that you made music, and I was like, okay, like very talented. And I think your latest project was the What I Never Told You.
Yeah.
And what I liked about the project, and what I like, the way I like to describe it to other people, because this was like, it was a shock, because I thought you were like a choreographer and you danced, but then found out you were singing.
Got you.
And so when I came across the project, I was like, oh, this is very like opera-esque, very orchestral, and just kind of like
cool.
that sort of vibe where it's like the singing just kind of just speaks for itself, and then it reaches like different lengths and just the ranges you're able to reach with that. Like, it was very amazing. And then to find out how young you are, I was like, wow, that's pure talent, you know?
Thank you so much.
So
I appreciate you listening to it.
Yeah, of course. And so like I've always been looking forward to trying to catch you at the shows. And recently I know you had your first residency.
Yes.
At Firehouse.
That was awesome.
How has that been? Because you finished it recently, right?
Yeah. This last Thursday was my last.
I was able to make it to the first one, and that alone, you with your band I was blown away. It was an amazing show, and I know for sure you've had a lot of people show. But how was that? Like, was this like sort of your first like run at first live shows, or?
Yeah. So my first show, I had started doing live shows, I guess, probably about now a year and a half ago. And that started in like a coffee shop, and then I've only had about 5 or so shows with a live band. So it was definitely a learning curve. But a good one. But through this month, I learned a lot about, how to develop a show and how to like coordinate with your band and how to make an effective show. And I'm very, very grateful for that, because honestly, I don't know if I would have learned that so quickly in any other scenario. But yeah, it was crazy. Every week was kind of had its challenges. Like, I had a family emergency one day where I was in San Antonio in the daytime and had to drive back in and do the show, and it was like emotionally heavy. And then I was sick the first week, and then I was sick the third week. Nothing contagious, but it was just kind of a lot. But I was like glad to figure out how to like maneuver through those things too, because that's also like some lessons that I feel are necessary to learn.
It's like one of those things, like every little thing that kind of comes at your way, you power through it, and it makes you stronger for the next one, and you just kind of just level up from there. That's awesome. When was it that you started doing your first live performance? When was that?
With a band, or like
I guess on your own.
On my own, I think it was I had this first opportunity where Sweet Paris at the Domain, their crepe shop, I don't know how they found out about me, but they found out about me and asked me to come sing on Thursdays for like $100, and I was like, of course. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I still do. Seriously, thank you to everybody that had me do that. But that was my first experience, and I would just go and sit down in the back of the shop with my little sound thing and my little microphone that I plugged in, and would just do tracks and karaoke tracks.
That's awesome.
Like that. Yeah.
How was the reception then? Like, how were people reacting to you then?
It's cool. I mean, I didn't promote it to where like people would come out, but I actually had a lot of really cool homies come out to the first one. They were super excited for me, which is cool, and a lot of them still come to the shows, which is amazing. But it was definitely not an environment where like people want to be hearing music, so it's very background. Which I totally understand. They're trying to like eat their crepe and like have coffee, so but yeah.
And then how did everything happen, I guess, whenever you working with Sheila? Because I know that you guys had y'all did ACL, right?
Yep.
How was that? How did that come about?
She actually got me out of going to college, I'm not gonna lie. So I had just graduated, and I had been working on getting into a college the whole time in my high school career, because I was doing the same thing every high school student is doing, like, oh, should I go or should I not? And my guts were telling me, like, you don't need to go. Like, this is not for you. I've never been, like, I love learning, but I've never been, like, a school person. So I had gotten accepted to CalArts, and I was going to go there on scholarship, but I ended up deferring, and then I just never went. Which is cool. I'm glad that I did it, and that I, at least know how the college application process works. But right when I was going to have preparation to go, I forget how it happened. Oh, Ronnie, my vocal coach, he was looking for another Latina singer, and because Sheila was looking for a background singer, and then he was also her teacher, so he mentioned me, and then we ended up working together. And then she needed dancers, and she was asking if I could dance too, and then I was like, well, I have a lot of dance friends, so I was like, I'll give you their contact.
Oh,
and
that's
then
awesome. That's
where like Gabe and all the Prince and all them came in.
It just all kind of worked out, kind of came together perfectly.
Yeah, and then we were just like this big family.
Yeah.
In all the rehearsals, it was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, every time I seen like the stories or like everything that she shared, like it just looked like a fun time.
Definitely.
That's really cool. Beyond that, what other? Because I know you've had some very like your resume starting like it's already pretty stacked.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are some of the collaborations that you have already under your belt?
I'm sure now people are probably starting to know his name more, but Black Odyssey is one of the artists that I work with a lot. He used to have me come into studios to work with other artists that he was working with, just to do background. So I have my voice is on a lot of unreleased stuff that I don't really know when they're coming out, but when they are, I'll like post them. But so I worked with him a lot and on his stuff as well. He produced my song Pretty Boy. So him and James Robinson, more unreleased stuff. There's a lot of cool collabs coming out. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited for that. Is there any people that you would want to work with that are in the city, or that you're just a fan of?
So many people. I have a list of like a crazy amount of people that I want to work with. There's a lot of people like Miguel, like Kate Tronada, a whole bunch of people. Like, I don't want to list them off because I'm gonna miss some, and then I'm gonna watch it back and be like, dang, I missed someone.
Should have said this.
So,
that.
Yeah. But there's a lot. There's totally.
What were some of your, I guess, influences? Like, what did you listen to growing up that kind of like impacted the way that you kind of just project yourself in music?
My dad had me grow up on a lot of blues and classic rock and reggae. Mm-hmm. That was like the cocktail I grew up on his side. So reggae honestly was my favorite growing up. And so that kind of gave me this like love for like a good groove and feel good music, stuff that kind of like makes you want to move and feel cool and, you know, be just relaxed.
Just vibing.
Yeah, vibing. Yeah. And so that's what I grew up on his side. And then on my mom's side, a lot of like Latin music, Buena Vista Social Club and Andrea Bocelli, like some other cool artists. So a lot of like classy acts, which is cool. Selena, of course. But yeah, I remember the first songs that I was like, this is amazing, was Halo by Beyonce. Okay. That was like I mean, I'm a kid, like I have a little iPod, like what are they?
The little
get a little iPod thing,
yeah.
And I thought it was so cool. I had like that song, and then the one CD I had was Natasha Bedingfield. What's that album called? The one that has Love Like This on it. Sunshine. I don't know. Yeah. Pocket Full of Sunshine. And that album was also had a lot of influence on me.
Nice. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing considering that you're such a young person. I feel like a lot of people your age would not really be on the same wavelength. Is that something you've noticed? Like people your age, they kind of not listen to the same taste? No,
not at all. There's just a lot of like, my generation is like,
because you're Gen Z, right?
Gen Z, terrible. I'm so sorry.
We've had plenty of conversations about Gen Z, but
Me too.
I mean, it's gonna be a lot of positive impact that you guys will bring. But
I mean, there's a way to carry it in a good way, but there's definitely a lot of things about my generation that I'm not a big fan of, or not necessarily like. I think there's a lot of positive things happening culturally, but also a lot of negative things. So we were kind of going up and down in different directions, but yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Gen Z.
Is there any upcoming projects that you're excited for that you can probably speak about?
Yeah. I keep talking about it, but there is a project coming out, my second EP, and that one I'm very excited about, but I want to take my time. I was going to have it out in September, but I ended up wanting to push it back so I could do a proper music video and really make sure the music is where I want it to be before I release it. So it's taking a little bit longer, but you know, I'm not in a rush right now, and there's not really like a huge violent demand, so I'm not worried about it.
What's your process like whenever you're working on a new project? Like what is it that you go through that kind of helps you spark the creativity and the ideas that come to the project?
There's a lot of things that influence the way that I make music. Most of it is honestly, it's me just, everybody says this, but it's me just kind of like writing out basically a diary, but in musical form. I don't really write like a journal or anything, but the way that I do that is just through writing music. But most of the time, I'll either be sitting in a studio with a producer and we'll just kind of catch a vibe, and then I'll just write a piece to it, or I'll jot down. My brain is always kind of thinking in song lyrics, so sometimes I'll randomly think of something and I'm like, oh, that's good, so I'll write it down in my notes, and then later I'll piece it into a piece of music. So
do you freestyle a lot too? Like
I have to. I not like with words, but all of my melodies have to be freestyled because it has to feel right, you know. I don't want it to be something like processed,
just random. Is that, I guess, similar to is that your overall just writing process, the way you kind of come up with it?
Yeah, I think so. It's usually me freestyling into a piece of music that I like, or me on the piano or guitar, and just kind of going from there, seeing what feels good to the voice, you know.
Okay. As far as like the songs you've had and all, like everything you've put out so far, me and Troy have oftentimes talked about like we like to talk about like the way artists kind of drop their music. You know, they drop their first project as their freshman year, second project sophomore, etc., up until like senior year.
Yeah.
But with that also comes they have like a lot of artists kind of have like that one song that like it's their baby. It's their biggest, most impactful song. Do you feel like you've gotten there yet? Like, do you have
No.
something that's kind of in the works like that?
I think I'm always hard on myself, but I think there's one that has a lot of potential. It's one that has a feature on it. It's unreleased, but I think that is the one that I'm most proud of so far. That one has Magna Carta on it, so I'm very, very excited about that one. It has a real cool groove. I wanted to bring some 90s elements into my new stuff, just bring back some classic elements. So I think that one has potential to be something to go somewhere, but other than that, like, I'm always kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't feel like I'm there yet. Yeah, but I will be.
Do you have, I guess, besides that, what have been your favorite songs that you've dropped and that you really enjoyed performing? That you've enjoyed performing, actually, just from, like, the last residency you just did?
Pretty Boy, for sure.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite. It's one of those songs where, like, I feel as a singer, there's kind of this expectation that when you perform, you're about to be hitting some crazy runs and singing super loud and being really just performative with your voice, and that's amazing. Like, I love Jasmine Sullivan for that, and I love a lot of vocalists that go crazy with their voice, and I think that's amazing. But my voice doesn't like to do that. I like to be a little more just raw and intimate and a little bit more just relaxed. So that song is where I can do that, and that song is where I can take my time, and it's more of me talking to the audience and telling a story than me trying to show off how many riffs I can do and how long I can hold a high note. So
that's awesome. How did that song come about?
That one was one of the easiest writing processes ever.
Because you said that one was the one with the Black Odyssey, right?
Yeah, so he like I said, we had been working a lot, so he would just randomly hit me up and say, hey, come into the studio, well, let's work together. And he'd said that again. Usually it was for other people, so I walk in, and he has this track going, and I'm like, that's crazy, like, who is that for? Like, who are we working with today? And he was like, this is for you. And I said, what? Like, no way. So it was kind of like the skeleton of the track, and then we ended up sitting down, and I wrote it with him, and then we kind of built the rest of the track out with it. So it was very organic, very easy, and I love what it's about. The lyrics came really easily with both of us. He's a great person to write with and to record with. I think that's mainly because he's an incredible artist on his own. Yeah,
artistically, he's very talented.
Yes, so that was probably my favorite, like, writing experiences.
Awesome. Who would you say are your, I guess if we're going, like, big names, what are your favorite R&B artists at the moment?
This question, I always end up not saying who I really want to say. I love Ari Lennox. I love Brent Faiyaz. I know that he's overplayed, and people say he's whatever and whatever.
I mean, he deserves this. His run has been
on
for a while.
Yeah, I was with him on Sonder, so back then, like, I've always been a fan.
People don't know that Sonder is Brent Faiyaz.
Yeah, they're like, have you heard of Sonder? I'm like, girl, that's him.
Yeah.
But definitely them. I like James Blake a lot. I like Raven Lenae. There's so many, and I'm going to be mad that I missed some.
I mean, it's understandable because there is a lot. Like,
yes.
And the reason I ask is because, like, I don't know if you've noticed, like, online, like, the whole topic has been like, oh, there's no more R&B, or R&B's dead, or, like, they make the whole, like, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I also like Summer Walker. She's like, I think, carrying the classic pop R&B. I feel like it's not necessarily dead. I just think that it's, like, being polluted is a bad word, but it's like being
reinvented in a way.
And I think that's how it should be, you know. I don't feel like R&B there's one right way to do it and a wrong way.
It keeps changing.
Yeah, it'll constantly be influenced by hip hop or influenced by like indie music. That's a lot of what I hear now, like indie R&B.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that, like, the pop R&B sound is, like, carried by, like, Summer Walker. Who else is popping now? Maybe even Giveon, Chris Brown. Like, those people carry it right now. So, yeah. I don't really know why people say that, to be honest.
Yeah, I never quite understood the question because like just I guess people like make a big deal about how like there's no real R&B artists and stuff like that, but I think people get so stuck on like what has been in the past or who has been around, you know.
It should evolve.
It does, you know, and it's constantly changing. Cause like you said, there's plenty of good artists now, like everybody that you've listed, like, but then you still have some of the older people that are still like even contributing in a way, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like even when they accept like the sampling and the I guess like reconstructed versions of the songs in a new way, you know. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those questions that's like it's a redundant question, but
yeah,
it's up for debate to an extent, you know. So I get it. So as far as performing live, is there any like dream venues that you'd like to perform in Austin? Because I know like as far as like the way that I've seen paths go for Austin musicians, you know, you kind of start doing your local shows and you start doing the big stages and then you kind of start moving outwards, going to other cities and stuff like that. Do you have sort of like a goal list?
Totally. In no specific timeline, but that Moody Center that they just built.
Yeah.
That crazy building. It's a big dream, but the second I saw the floor plan for that, I was like, what an incredible venue, or at least see a show there. So that
the basketball stadium?
The huge, is it called? It's the Moody Center. The huge, when you're driving on the highway, you can see it.
Because I know they have one that's outdoors now too, right?
I think so.
Or is it the one indoors?
It's the one indoors.
Okay,
it's a massive. I think it's bigger than the Frank Irwin, but obviously that too, Frank Irwin would be amazing. I saw Summer Walker at the Moody Theater, the one that's it's called like something 12 or something. It's like the ACL Live.
Yeah.
That spot is amazing too. That was a beautiful show that I saw there. So there's definitely a lot of places. Emos, Soho House I would love to play at. There's a bunch of cool spots here in town. Yeah.
There's definitely there's a lot of cool places. Any I guess I know we talked about any like the projects that you have upcoming, any collabs that you have?
Yeah, there's some cool stuff that I've done with I forgot to mention with Lil Doozy. He had me on one of his songs. It's called Sunset. That was a really fun one. That one is super pop R&B. So I thought it would be cool to do something like that because I have more soul stuff and more pop R&B stuff. So I like exploring different versions of R&B with other artists. So that's out already. And then there's some stuff with J Mill as well. And then I just finished a feature with this boy named Sivion, who is not very well known yet, but he's super cool. So that one is another one that I really like. It has kind of a Drake feel to it.
Okay.
So that's another collab coming out. There's so much stuff in the vault with James Robinson, like you don't even know, but he just doesn't. Like he has like 7 albums worth of music that's just sitting there. Yeah. So one day.
Are you looking forward to like, or do you ever plan on just kind of like expanding outside of like the whole like R&B and just kind of like just trying out different styles?
Totally, yeah. I would love to do Latin styles. I would love to do, I would love to try more of a dance hall or even like I love house music. Like Kitchen Out a hip hop house is super awesome. I would love to do some tracks like that. So yeah, I have some stuff in mind.
Were you a fan of the like what Drake and Beyonce did and what they dropped?
Yeah, Drake's not so much. Like no offense, it sounded like tight beats or something. Like it didn't necessarily sound like something I hadn't heard before.
It was like last minute stuff.
Yeah, it sounded kind of like what's sitting in the bottom of your files, you know. But Beyonce's was cool. I like hers a little bit more than Drake's. But I like that vibe is coming. I think that's probably the next wave.
I feel like it's kind of been like it's been building up for a while because like I remember like early in the years when I started kind of just getting into house and I started hearing it a lot. You know, obviously like through TikTok and everything else. But like
it's usually like only remixes. So I think what's happening is now it's not you don't have to wait for a remix. It's like that's how the song comes, which I think is cool. So definitely I want to try some stuff like that.
And definitely Kitchenada has been doing an amazing job for the longest. Just curating that type of music that's been, you know, it's always been there, but just bringing it up mainstream and just bringing it up front. So it would be cool to see you do that type of music.
Yeah, I would love to.
I wonder, is there any producers that do music like that here in Austin?
I think honestly, if you're a good producer, you can do anything. So
True,
I feel
true,
like there's totally some producers here that could do that. I'm working with someone right now who I think definitely has the potential to do that. So who knows? I might drop a little house track sometime.
That would be dope. That would be cool. And then you said before we started recording, you said that you can do Spanish songs. Have you played with it already, or have you done any? Or
well, when I was in Mexico, actually, we were in Xochimilco with the boats.
Yeah.
And we had a mariachi band come on our boat, and they ended up making me sing with them.
Oh wow!
So I sang "Cien Años" by the Selena version, and so there's a couple songs that I like to sing when I'm, when it's appropriate. But I would love to do a Spanish tune, and I'm actually working with someone this Friday working on some Spanish writing, just to see, how easily it comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's another thing I've been wanting to explore too.
I'm excited to hear how that sounds. I feel
Thank you.
Like the way that your sound comes in, and hearing in Spanish, I'm sure like it would bring a lot of like novelty sound from like back then, 'cause I feel like it's something also that's popular, just kind of just getting like a lot of like the old kind of sound just kind of coming back, like the oldies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would definitely be interesting to do that.
Yeah.
And just real quick, just while we're like, before we go off into the next topic, go ahead and just quick give your socials and your social media where people can find you. That way, anybody that's interested in finding out more about you and listening to your music, where can they find all your stuff? Yeah,
so my Instagram is realgraces, and my website is gracesorensen.com. My music is all under Grace Sorensen on whatever platform you like to listen on, and I think that's it. I don't engage in many social media accounts. So I don't have Twitter or TikTok or anything. But those are the main places where I'm active and where you can find my flyers for shows and stuff like that and updates.
Who does like the creative direction for you? Is that all you? Like,
that's all me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all like I've seen like all the pictures and like the covers that you do. Like they're very, very interesting. Like
thank you.
How do you like what inspires that?
A lot of it is just these, I hate to say this, but they just like come in my head. Like they just like visions that I think that I could fit well into.
Yeah. It's like a sort of like aesthetic that's just like, it's one of those aesthetic that's like not like, you have to be able to like pull it off the right way, and I feel like you do a really good job at doing so.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mean, a lot of it, to be honest, I don't really like plan out too much, and I think that's maybe what makes it the way that it is. I don't try to go too crazy with sets or things like that, or over plan a shoot or covers and things. It just flows naturally.
Yeah.
And if I'm trying to do a cover, I'll just listen to the music, and usually music will tell me like what colors something should look like. And so once I get those colors from the music, I can make my outfit around that, and then I'll kind of just see, do I want it to be on location or do I want it in a studio with all white walls? So it kind of just pieces itself together in my head, and then I'll just make a Pinterest board and go for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very interesting. I've always been a fan, like the way just artistically you kind of like promote yourself and all aspects. It's like it fit, like I said earlier, like it's sort of like your music's sort of orchestral. Mm-hmm. So the visionary is very like spot on to that.
Thank you.
So it's very interesting to see that. Going outside of music, what does Grace Sorensen like to do that kind of like when she needs to take a step outside of music? What is your like go to that?
Well, to be honest, like music really occupies like everything, which is how I want it to be. But when I'm not, like, I love dancing. I do a lot of forms of it, and that's still some place where I feel very safe and free. So I love to go dance, whether it's like actual dancing or like salsa dancing or at a DJ set, things like that. Other than that, I love being outside when it's not like 104 degrees, and I love being with people that are like-minded and that I can have cool conversations with, and meeting new people when I can, and learning when I can, and being with family. So that's usually like what actual Grace is doing. Yeah,
that's your comfortable space.
Yeah.
What all sorts of dancing styles are you like really familiar with that you like to practice?
I grew up doing so much ballet, so I do still do ballet, hip hop mainly is now what I do, and contemporary, more commercial styles, and then I also do pole, release the stigma. I also do like that a lot. Heels all the time. That's mostly because I'm training to one day dance on stage in heels, so it all kind of comes together, and that's like my favorite style probably is heels. It's a little bit more feminine and powerful to me, so I like heels a lot.
I feel like that definitely takes a lot to like master.
Yeah, and like people that know my style, like it's a little bit weird if I wear heels. Like they're kind of like, what are you doing? Like I'm usually in sneakers, but one day I want to be able to
fully embrace
do that on as part of my show. So yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing like musicals?
No. No. I'm sorry. I'm about to offend a lot of people. I do not like musicals.
No.
At all. No.
What is it about musicals? Because I've always been like that. Troy, the producer, he's big on musicals. He loves them. He's always trying to put
sorry. I'm so sorry.
And I'm always like, I've never been a fan of musicals either. Like up until like recently when I've watched like, what was that movie called? The one with the Spider-Man in it? The one about Rent, the producer. What is the movie called? Tick, Tick, Boom. I watched it and it caught my attention. I was like, okay, this is very good. Like, this is the first musical that I probably did enjoy.
Yeah.
But I've never been really like big on them.
Yeah.
But I was just curious because like you do a lot of like the dancing and obviously with the singing, being able to do that. I don't know if that's ever been thrown at you or people have tried to convince you.
Actually, when I was trying to figure out like what route I wanted to go artistically, I knew that I wanted to just try all three. So I actually went to a musical theater camp at UT actually. And it was amazing, but oh my God, like that's where I found out like this is not what I need to be doing with my life. It's cool. It's just a little bit, it's a little overdone sometimes to me, like the way that they perform.
Over the top.
Yeah. However, I have seen Aladdin on Broadway and I cried.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a disapproving face. It was cool to me. And I saw The Lion King too, which was very, very well done. And I saw Kinky Boots too, because one of the cast members taught a heels class at our dance studio, and then after that he took us backstage. So that was super cool. But yeah, usually you will not catch me watching musicals.
No. That's funny. It's a fun fact. Huh?
Yeah.
So before we finish off, it's been a pleasure, and I'm grateful that you were able to make it out, and you guys having y'all here. So
thank you.
This definitely, hopefully, will not be the last that we have a sit down.
Yeah.
I'm sure as you continue to progress and keep doing bigger and better stuff, we'll be able to continue to sit down. But as I previously had said before we started recording, I do like to end on a positive note.
Yeah.
I hope I don't catch you fumbling or stumbling on it. Would you like to kick it off, or would you like me to start it off?
I think this is just the most basic way to like live your life. Just do everything that is you and listen to what is really you, and try not to allow other people's opinions or expectations of who you are, where you come from, what you identify as to affect the way that you see yourself and present yourself. So I think that's the thing that's helped me through my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's mine.
I think for mine it's gonna be let me see. So if you are going through a lot and you feel like you're constantly being thrown like through hurdles and nonstop, just take a second to like kind of stop and think, but like it's only temporary. It's not a lifetime of hurdles. Everything that you kind of put through it's all for like everything happens for a reason. That's what you kind of got to remember, and just kind of take everything with grace and just give yourself some grace, because you're doing it, you're still here, you're still pushing through. You wouldn't be going through whatever you're going through if it wasn't for a greater cause. So just take a second and just kind of just enjoy the fact that you're still here.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but and one last thing I wanted to ask is I know you are pretty young and still doing a lot for your age. Is there any advice that you would like to give out to like young girls that are like still trying to figure out what they want to do? Because you were at that point where you were trying to figure out which route to take. Any advice you would like to put out?
Yeah. I wish that someone had told me back then that it is possible to make it happen, no matter like how long you might think it takes, and that the timing you have to trust, and you can't rush it or expect something to happen when you do something. Like, you can't expect a reaction with, no cause. So I think that once you start going for it, put your all into it, and just devote yourself to it. If you know what you want to do, and you know that there's nothing else that makes you happy, just go for it, and trust the timing. That's the biggest thing. Like, don't be stressing over here like, oh, well, this person did this faster than I did, or this person got this, or but they got that before I did. Like, you have to trust your timing. Like, everything happens for a reason, and things will align when they're supposed to. So definitely that.
Beautifully put. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so again, thank you for being here. And real quick, give another shout out to or put out your socials so people can find you.
Sure. My Instagram is realgraces. My website is gracesorensen.com. My music is all Grace Sorensen on any listening platform. That's where you can find me.
And this has been another amazing episode. I don't know, it's perfect. I am Mario from the South Side, and I'm here with
Grace Sorensen.
And we are out.